Hey guys, lovely to have you with me today. My name's Susannah Cole. I think you guys probably know that already, but if you're brand new to my YouTube channel, welcome. Like and subscribe on the channel because that'll give you all the new videos coming out. But also, if you haven't already had a look, or maybe it's been a while since you had a look, have a good look at my website called thegoodpropertycompany.co.uk because I've got everything you need to succeed in property on there. But today we are going to look at where do you buy property in the UK. Now, before we do that, I want to cover some mistakes people do when they're thinking about their locations of buying properties so that you can eliminate those mistakes, be more successful, earn more money, and get to financial freedom quicker. Pretty simple, isn't it? You ready? Let's go. The first mistake I feel, and I feel it quite strongly, is people buy property hundreds of miles away from where they live. So if they live in London, they go buy up in Scotland or Stoke-on-Trent or Leeds or wherever it is, okay? I live in Bristol and Barcelona. I'm here beside the beach. You can probably hear people doing ping pong and beach volleyball. But I also live in Bristol, and all of my properties are between a 9-minute and a 17-minute drive of my home. I have properties that I haven't actually been physically in for years. However, were there to be an emergency, I could be there between 9 and 17 minutes. So I do feel personally it's quite important to be relatively close and not have properties hundreds of miles away, because you can't even do a drive-by and just go, can I just double check that people are still living there? Mistake number 2, if you do insist on having properties in a different location, and utterly up to you, the biggest second mistake I see people doing is they don't cluster. By clustering, I mean exactly what I've done with my property portfolio. Although I've got one which I need to tell you about, I need to fess up. So all of my properties are between 9 and 17 minutes drive of my home and my office. I've sold my office now, but because I kind of chill on the beach these days. But and I've got houses that are literally 1 minute and 2-minute drive from each other. So today, Des, my washing machine guy, is sorting out a washing machine in one property and sorting out a cooker in another property, and they are literally 1 minute from each other. So why is that useful? For exactly what I just highlighted, for your team, your A-listed team, to be able to go and sort out problems very efficiently. So I'm not paying two call-out charges, I'm paying one, because he's going to one, going to the other, job done. Yeah, you want to cluster them so that your A-listed team can be used on all your properties and can sort out problems, because your repair costs should always be less than 10% of the rent. And if you don't cluster them, you're going to be paying so much on call-out fees, it's ridiculous. Mistake number 3 in finding deals is letting the crowd persuade you, letting your emotions take over, letting estate agents persuade you, letting your brain persuade you there are no deals in your location. You need a population of 250,000, you need 100 estate agent offices, and for finding deals from estate agents, it is 1 in 100. 100 phone calls, 25 viewings, 21 offers will give you 1 deal. If you haven't done that work, that's why you haven't got the deal. So don't be persuaded that there aren't deals in your location, but you do need a population of 250,000 for fluidity, just to make sure you've got enough houses being bought and sold. Mistake number 4 is believing folks who sell education courses with snappy bylines. Goldmine area. Brrr. Goldmine area. I mean, I'd love to fall in a goldmine area. They don't exist. It's just a piece of nonsense, because if every single property was a goldmine property in the goldmine area, they would just be discounted, and then that would be the new normal price, and so the market would rebalance itself. What you are looking for is anomalies in the market. You don't look for a whole area, because then you won't be able to buy, refurb, refinance and rent out, because the bank will be like, that's not a goldmine area, that's just the price of the house in Stoke-on-Trent or Leeds or Glasgow or whatever it is. Yeah. So you're looking for a house that should be 300,000, but you're buying it at 200 in your normal area. And the bank goes, yeah, totally agree with you. That house that you got lucky enough to buy for 200 is actually worth 300. So we're going to give you a 75% mortgage, and you're going to get 225,000 quid. Yes! Technically get paid for owning the house. I've done that again and again and again. Don't believe the marketing hype of snappy catchphrases that make it sound so easy. You've got to put some graft in here, guys. But you know that. That's why you're watching my YouTube channel. So now we've looked at some mistakes in thinking about your location. Where would you actually buy? Well, what's your objective? Are you flipping or are you renting? but actually the objectives are quite similar. So if you're flipping, basically the person who buys your property is going to need a job or an income to be able to get a mortgage. So jobs pay for houses. If you're renting, I mean, I know that people rent to housing benefit. Oh, there's a helicopter up there. How nice. I know that people rent to housing benefit as well, but typically your tenant is going to have a job, or maybe they're a student. But let's stay with the jobs. So a job will pay the rent. So a job pays the tenant and the tenant pays the rent. A job pays the buyer and the buyer buys the house. So you are looking for areas where the economy are really quite strong, where the jobs are quite good, where if your tenant or your buyer, well, your tenant really loses their job, they can go out and they can get another job. So during COVID, all of my properties, apart from one, I did say I was going to tell you about that, are based in Bristol. Really high economic area, loads of jobs. We didn't have any tenants default. We had a couple try, but we didn't have any tenants default on the rent. Why? Because there were so many alternative jobs. And to be fair, we did help them quite a bit. So we were very strong on, no, you can't default on the rent, but we spent a long time sending them out lists and lists and lists of jobs because everyone was in shock. No one quite knew what to do. And we wanted to say, look, it is your responsibility to pay the rent. However, here are loads of delivery jobs, for example. So even on a temporary basis, you'll be able to get your money coming in. You want to be buying in an area of economic strength, and you also want to be buying in an area of economic variability. What do I mean by that? That the area is not dependent on one type of employment, like we saw in South Wales with coal mines. And since then, obviously those areas are quite tough economically. Now, let me tell you about the time I didn't obey my own rules, and I did it for love. So I cluster. I'm in Bristol, although I have just seen a property in Barcelona. And I think I might start buying properties in Barcelona as well. I cluster. I'm in Bristol, yeah? But my son went to college, and he went to college quite young. And he, no offence meant in any shape, he was quite a young man, you see what I mean? And I just felt as a mum that that young man needed support and care, and I couldn't give it because obviously he was going to college. So what did I do? I bought a flat. It's still my flat, not his. But while he was in college, he didn't need to pay the rent. Later on, he lived in it, and I made him pay rent. And I bought a flat in Glasgow. So I have a cluster of properties in Bristol, you know, smugly 1-2 minutes away from each other, 5 minutes away from each other, 17 minutes worse from my house. But then I've got one property that's 6.5 hours drive away from my house. The only thing in my defence, Your Honour, is it's 15 minutes drive from my parents' house, and it just allows us to have another little stepping stone in Scotland because we're Scottish. However, it was disobeying my rules, but I did it for love, so you can understand that. So I hope that's been useful for you in just putting together your thoughts about where you're going to build your property portfolio, the mistakes to avoid, and the things to do so that you have an easy to manage. Because remember, you buy the property once, but you manage it for like donkey's years, yeah? So you should be focusing more on how easy is this going to be to manage than, you know, can I get it discounted, but it's in Cornwall, it's in Glasgow, it's in Devon, it's in Newcastle. That would blow my brain. Remember, my website, thegoodpropertycompany.co.uk, super website full of helpful information for you, and also like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. But the most important thing is make sure you can do it. You will succeed in property if you put one foot in front of the other, if you follow simple processes, and you know you're in it for the long term. Good luck to you.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're a community. Get all the vids you need so that you can succeed.